What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, I was going ahead and scrolling through Twitter, and I saw a post that really, hit me deep, and it really reminds me of why I get so disappointed with certain games and just, I guess, gaming in general. Now, as you can see right here, Robert Bowling, which is actually one of the OG devs from the Call of Duty franchise, who is currently working on Dr. Disrespect's game, he went ahead and put out a post saying, "Indie company creates successful game. Large publisher acquires indie company. Large publishers lay off developers. Laid off developers form indie company. Indie company creates successful game. Large publisher acquires indie company." So on and so forth. The cycle just keeps repeating. And that tweet isn't a joke or anything. No, that's the real deal. That is simply how pretty much every single indie game that I've ever witnessed. Actually, I'm not going to go as far as saying every single indie game because there are plenty. And when I say plenty, I mean plenty of indie games still out there that I love and adore. I mean, I think of games like Insurgency Sandstorm Squad, all these other titles. Yeah, they might have gotten some more budgets and, they've been able to push with their projects. But I would say at the end of the day, they still stay true to themselves. But I can't tell you how many countless numbers of games that I love and adore, indie games, that just became really popular in a short span of time that were picked up by massive publishers that have gone to absolute junk. For an example, Splitgate. A lot of you guys probably know Splitgate as kind of like a Halo knockoff, but during the time that Halo Infinite wasn't out and there was a lot of hype around the title, Splitgate came at the perfect time and just absolutely blew up and gave everybody that arena shooter that, Halo's always known for, while at the same time introducing portals. It was unique, it was interesting. It had something very similar that people knew from the Halo franchise. The gunplay, the movie, all that stuff was very addicting, and it felt similar enough that it wasn't completely like Halo, but once again, you knew basically what you were playing. And again, it blew up. It was a great game. And then they got completely bought out. They were given an absolutely huge, massive budget. And what happens? Splitgate 1, or the original Splitgate, got completely shut down. Now, not shut down meaning servers, but any new content, any new production, anything that's going to be added in the future is completely cut from Splitgate. If you're going to go ahead and download the game, what's there is what's there. No, it's fine. They have things like, for example, their Forge mode in there that allows the community to make cool maps and cool things. So it's still active. There's still people playing it. I actually made a review about that game a little while ago. A fresh review. I talked about it a lot when it first came out, but I made a fresh one for the end of 2022, I believe, to see if it was still active. It was. It still has a player base, even though there are some bots here and there. But the point I'm trying to make here is, it's a very successful indie game, something that was really cool, something that the developers were very passionate about, something that a lot of people loved and wanted to see something improve. And they were bought out. And once they were bought out, they have no more say. The people who bought them out probably cut the production of the first one, even though they claim it's for other things. I guarantee it was the publishers. They bought them out. They said it's time to work on Splitgate 2. And instead of enhancing and perfecting the main Splitgate game that they had there right in their hands, they're moving on to the second one now. Now, I'm going a little too far here because you can't judge a game before it's even announced. Even though they did announce they're working on the next game, it's still not even official of what it's going to be called. We don't know what type of Splitgate experience they're going to make besides the fact that it's going to play pretty much similar to the original Splitgate, but it's going to be, just like how Call of Duty 4 has Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, same deal. But sometimes less is better. Look at Rainbow Six Siege like you see right here in front of your eyes, for example. It's one Rainbow Six Siege. Now, of course, the franchise goes way back with multiple different games, but when it comes to Rainbow Six Siege, what we're playing right here, there's only one game and it's been out forever. It's a very unique playstyle, very unique game, one of a kind almost. There's no reason to make a Rainbow Six Siege 2. Am I right or am I wrong? Now, financially, it would be better to make a Rainbow Six Siege 2. I guarantee you they would make absolute bank off of it. And maybe for people who play the game a lot, it might be good to have something fresh. But at the end of the day, what difference would be between the first one and the second one that would, make the game any better? Probably nothing. A lot of the times when people or, these publishers think that the best idea for a franchise is to make another game for it, typically they just turn that game into crap because everything that was known and loved about the original is now gone because they had to change it in order for it to stay fresh. Look at COD. COD is released every single year. Look at the state that we're in now. It's not even COD anymore at this point. But they do what they do to keep things fresh, to keep things rolling, to keep things pumping. It works. They still make absolute bank. But for the hardcore fans, it's the best of the best. Probably not, but I'm getting a little sidetracked. The point I'm trying to make here is that for unique games like that, you don't need to make multiples of them. If you have a good formula, just keep it, build on top of it. But that's what a developer would do. When it comes to a massive publisher buying, an indie team out like this, guess what the outcome is? We're cutting the first one and we're working on another one. This is just how the world works. It's extremely depressing. And honestly, this post is a little bit more deeper than, obviously just the cycle he's saying here. It's also why publishers are horrible for gaming. There was a comment under that post where I thought Robert, responded in a perfect way. Light said, moral of the story, devs aren't good at actually building a business. And Robert responded saying, devs don't build businesses, they build games. Rarely are they concerned with anything beyond the creative, which is good for gamers, bad for business. Publishers are the opposite. They're great at business and generally bad for players. Do you ever find that perfect balance? Once again, like I said, he further proves the point here that publishers just simply are a huge issue when it comes to the gaming scene. And it sucks because in order to acquire a budget that would allow you to take your indie game to a whole nother level, basically, you got to sell your soul. I mean, you can even look over at the music industry, for example. A musician can stay independent for as long as they want. He or she can, do whatever they please. It's a 50-50 chance. Either they're going to be very successful or they're going to completely flop. Who knows? But if some major music industry, decides to pick them up and give them a massive record, label deal, guess what? They're probably going to take it. They're going to sell their soul. They're going to make absolute bank off of music. But there goes their creative independence. They can't sing what they want to sing. They can't rap about what they want to rap about. They can't play what they want to play. At the end of the day, they sold their soul. And that's the same thing that goes on when it comes to indie games. But I wouldn't necessarily say that comparison is the best, because I wouldn't say developers are selling their souls like, a musician would sell their soul to a massive label deal. Because when they sell their soul for a label deal, they want the money, right? They just want the cash for the work that they put in. When an indie team sells out their company or sells out their game, they want to improve on their baby. They're not selling to make money out of it, which, some people might. But at the end of the day, these creative minds, they are selling so they can be more creative, add more things, and just evolve what they already have made. But as we all know by now, or I hope you know, if you don't know this by now, it's really bad, because, we should all be realistic with the direction that gaming is going. We can try to avoid it and ignore it, because gaming is still for entertainment purposes. It shouldn't go further than that. It shouldn't affect your real life. It's a freaking video game. It's a digital toy. But you can still be aware of what's going on here. And you can be aware that publishers are absolute dog crap. And that whenever a indie team ever sells their company or their game to one of these publishers, their freedom is going to go away. Now, at the end of the day, these publishers, they only know business, but they're not going to completely scrap everything that made it popular in the first place. Same thing when it comes to a musician, selling out for a deal. The massive company that signed on that musician clearly knows why that musician is popular in the first place, or, why they gained any type of traction, or, what they're good at. So clearly they're going to point them in the direction that they best fit. But like I said, even though that they'll allow them to keep doing their thing, their creative freedom will be gone. And if they, out of nowhere say, okay, this isn't working anymore, you're switching right now, guess what they have to do? They have to switch it. And the same thing happens when it comes to publishers. Activision, they know what COD is. They know why people buy COD. EA, they know why people buy Battlefield still. All these different games, they know. But do they care enough? No, they don't. If they think something needs to be changed, or if they think something has to be rearranged, they will do as they see fit, and the developers will have to follow. It's not a if, it's not a but, it's a must. You must follow those directions or you will get fired. And a lot of the time, people will just get fired anyways, because, like I said, if it's an indie team, they're just going to lay them off anyways and try to build up the team, and it's just a whole absolute mess. But the point that I was trying to make, once again, is that the publishers know, they're not that stupid, but they are definitely stupid enough that they will kill off a franchise over their own beliefs instead of listening to the community. And that's the point that I'm trying to make here. So it just sucks. This cycle really is awful. But the moral of the story is that publishers are really probably the biggest problem when it comes to, gaming in general. We can put a lot of blame on developers, and developers are to blame from time to time. But at the end of the day, they're just creative minds. It's just like me putting out a piece of content on YouTube. Some people will love it, some people will hate it. I see it all the time. For the amount of time that I've been posting on YouTube, trust me, I've seen a fair amount of criticism. It is what it is. I'll tell you one thing: when you try to push and thrive in an industry like something like this, or game design, or being a musician, you start to begin to grow very thick skin. But again, I've been really sidetracked today. Back to the main point here. The consumer can complain, they can whine, they can do whatever they want with the title. They're obligated, they're allowed to do so. They spent money on it. But the developer, it really isn't their fault. They're expressing their creativity. They're trying to make something that's fun, something that's entertaining. And the majority of the time that you see a rushed project, something that's not complete, something that has a garbage storyline, something that doesn't resemble anything to the core of what a game is about, typically it comes down to the publisher. It just, 9 times out of 10, it goes down to the publisher. Because, as you can see, when it comes to Battlefield 2042, developers are willing to turn it around. But are they allowed to turn it around? No. The only way they will allow it to be turned around is if the game gets hit. Battlefield 2042 got hit. I guarantee they got the green light by EA to completely revamp the game, and they're doing what they can do to find a middle ground with the community. It's not going to be perfect. It never will be, and we'll have to wait until another Battlefield game to see if they can make a better project. But at the end of the day, the point I'm trying to make is that, developers, they do care. You don't go to school for all of those years to go into game design to not give a crap about what you're working on, and then over half of them don't go into game design for the dollar amount either. A lot of them go in because they're passionate about creating an art. And of course, I probably shouldn't say all the development teams, because there are games out there that were developed by indie development teams who, their main thing is just to get dollar bills out of you. They want your money. It's an absolute scam. It's a crap project, and they're going to charge you $30, $40, $50, $60 for it. I've seen it time and time and time again. So not all developers are like this. But I'm going to ask you a question. When you think of your favorite game out there, whether it's a multiplayer game, a single-player game, a co-op game, I don't care what type of game it is. When you think of the best game, the game that you love the most, what do you think of the developers who worked behind it? Were they developers who were craving money, or were they developers that were passionate about the game they were making? That should answer all your questions. And then think, if it is a franchise that you know and love, and you don't like the franchise now, think of how big that franchise has grown. Think of the amount of money that they brought in. Think of the publisher's decisions, and then put the pieces of the puzzle together to see why some of these games are turning into just the dumpster fires that they're known of today. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like button. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Also, for brand new, enjoy the content, definitely subscribe, hit that notification button. Also, want to chat with me, this do we do so, Twitter and Discord, both linked down in the description. And also want to catch me live streams of video games over on Twitch, link that's in the description as well. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in. See you on the next one. Peace out.